The joys of universal remotes. Who doesn't love looking through an instruction manual printed in a 4-point font trying to find a 5-digit code that may or may not match your television set's model, holding multiple buttons on your remote control to put it into a programming mode, typing that tiny 5-digit code incorrectly and having to go through that whole cycle again? I mean, seriously, who doesn't love doing that?
Oh God, I hate my life.
Universal remotes have come a long way and can now be integrated into your smart home and voice assistants. I have the Logitech Harmony hubs and remotes set up on 3 different entertainment systems, integrated with Amazon, Google, Philips Hue, and SmartThings. Yes, you can get simpler Harmony remotes that are very affordable and switch all of your entertainment devices with a single press of a button, but the Harmony Elite takes that experience to the next level. One of the first smart gadgets I ever bought was a Harmony Universal Remote Control, which completely changed how I viewed universal remotes. This was when Harmony was a small Canadian company and before it was bought by Logitech in the early 2000s. The thing that has always set Harmony remotes apart from more traditional universal remotes was the ease of setup and the remote's ability for tracking and changing your entertainment system settings and inputs with a single button press. Even with a cheap universal remote, you still have to manually hit TV power, DVR power, until you get everything set up like you need it. Have a smart TV, Xbox, PlayStation, Apple TV, cable box, Blu-ray player, soundbar, and you're either juggling 6 or more remotes or fumbling with an overworked, dumb universal remote. The simplest of Harmony remotes take that all down to a single button press. Hit the Watch TV button and everything springs to life on its own, powering up and switching inputs. And let's not forget the most important factor with this, family approval. The more stuff I'd add to our entertainment setup, the more frustrated my wife would become. A smart universal remote is a marriage saver. You also know it's a solid performer when it gets the mom and dad seal of approval. My parents are not technically inclined people and they swear by Logitech Harmony remotes too. At the most basic, you can pick up remotes like the Logitech Harmony 350 and 650 for usually around between $25 and $50. But when you move up to remotes that include a hub like the Harmony Companion and the Harmony Elite, the price does take a big jump to $100 to $300, but you can sometimes find sales for around $250. But the additional functionality and ease of use are worth the extra cost. The Logitech Harmony Elite comes with a hub that sits in your entertainment center. This is the brain of everything and is what actually blasts out the infrared signals that control entertainment devices like DVRs and TVs, as well as connecting to many Bluetooth devices like PlayStation 4 and your Wi-Fi. There are even a couple of extension IR blasters that you can string around to get coverage of devices that aren't in line of sight from the hub itself. This means you can hide away all of your devices and no longer need to point a remote control directly at things to get them to work. In my bedroom setup, I have several components hidden away in a closet out of sight. The included remote is using radio frequencies to connect to the hub and issue commands, so you don't have to worry about pointing that anywhere specific either. This can often be a problem with traditional IR remotes like the Logitech Harmony 350 or 650, since a coffee table might obstruct the signal to your DVR and it fails to get switched to the right mode, but the TV and amplifier is switched on just fine. This throws everything out of sync and any universal remote won't be aware that something got screwed up. Thankfully, Harmony has a help button that will reissue IR commands for the mode that you're currently in to try to rectify the situation. However, with the hub-based systems, you typically don't have this happen. Once it's set up and working, it just works. You don't have to worry about line of sight unless there's something that you move in your entertainment center. Having a hub gives you more options for controlling your system too. You can load the Harmony app onto your phone and tablet and use those as remotes. If you use Amazon Echoes, you can activate the Amazon Echo skill to use your voice commands for different modes. Same is true for Google Hubs like the Google Home Mini or the Google Home Hub. In fact, with the Google Home Hub, you can get some really nice visual controls for play and pause and volume on the hub itself. When I first set this up a couple of years ago, my wife laughed at me and thought the voice commands were ridiculous. It's so much easier to use a remote, right? It depends on the situation though. My wife came around when she realized she could turn on the home theater from the kitchen, and by the time she got out to the living room with her food, the TV would be on and waiting for her ready to go. Obviously, not a necessity, but it's really a nice perk. One major flaw though is that voice controls can only be linked to one hub at a time. So if you have 2 or 3 like I do, you have to be selective which hub will get which voice commands. Logitech released a second Amazon Echo skill to get a second hub working at the same time, which is great, but kind of a hacky way to go about it. Why not change it so that you can just tell Amazon or Google which hub a command is meant for? Like, hey voice assistant, turn on the living room TV. You can also program in custom boards for specific channels, so you can ask Amazon to turn on ABC or CBS, and it will turn on the TV and enter the proper channel number on your TV or cable box. This won't work for opening specific apps though on something like an Apple TV. There are some hacky ways to do it by automatically moving your on-screen selection a set number of spaces up and down to the side each time the mode starts, but I wouldn't advise doing that because it's prone to error. However, if your smart TV has a button or a command to automatically launch something like Netflix, you should be able to take advantage of that and create a Watch Netflix activity. This is definitely true for Roku, which allows you to launch an app like Netflix directly. You can link your hub up to Amazon, Google, Philips Hue, Nest, Ecobee, Lutron, LifeX, SmartThings. Okay, I think you get the point. It's pretty much everything. Once you start to link smart home features into your hub, it opens up even more possibilities for automating routines. I have my living room lights set up to come on automatically if I turn on the TV after sunset. Change the mode to watch a movie and the lights dim to a more appropriate movie watching level. You could add Harmony into smart home routines like a time for bed routine. And your smart home would not only turn off lights, lock the front door, but it could also make sure that the TV and other devices are turned off. The Harmony Elite also has several dedicated smart home buttons on the remote itself that you can use to turn lights or outlets on and off with a press. For me, I have a button for the living room lights and another for the outside lights on the front of the house. These come in handy if you need to turn on the living room lights quickly while you're watching a movie, or for turning off the outside lights if they're distracting and not needed while you're trying to focus on the latest episode of Stranger Things. Logitech Harmony has come a long way since the early days. For the Harmony Hub products like the Elite, you just install the app on your phone or tablet and follow the initial setup instructions. This will get your hub and remote control onto your Wi-Fi. After that, you set up all of your other different devices that you want to control. For something like a TV, you just type in the brand name and model number, which brings up a confirmation screen showing matching options from the Logitech database. Once you have your devices set up, the Harmony app will usually ask you if you'd like to automatically create activities based off the new device that you've just added. An activity is something like watch TV, watch a Blu-ray, play Xbox, which then you add devices to that activity for. For me, I have a watch TV activity with my LG TV, Denon receiver, and Apple TV as devices. You tell it which device will control the volume, what inputs each device needs to be set to, HDMI 1 and TV audio for me on my TV and Denon receiver, confirm that you can see and hear everything properly, and then Harmony asks you if you'd like to add smart home devices to the activity. This is where you can set smart lights like Philips Hue to turn on at specific levels and colors, and if you'd like to limit to a time of day, as well as what those lights should do when the activity ends. Want to customize the buttons on the remote? Under the Remotes and Hub Settings menu, select your remote's button customization. This is where you can customize what those home control buttons do for all activities, or even customize them for specific activities. Select a button on the image, and then assign what you want the button to do. While it's relatively easy to set this all up, I will say that the app's UI can be slightly confusing. To advance the setup wizard, you have to tap the forward and back arrows at the top of the screen, which isn't a common interface design and can be confusing. There's also a long lag time when you tap on one of those arrows because the app is waiting for responses from the Logitech servers. The lag times can feel like the app has hung when in fact it's actually working just fine. And those issues are limited to the setup sections of the app. The remote functionality from day-to-day use and the responsiveness is just fine. Logitech Harmony remotes have become the go-to standard for universal remotes, and there's a good reason. They just work. Yes, they can be a little fiddly to set up, but once you do, they work reliably and are family-friendly. The entry-level Harmony remotes are a huge improvement over a more generic universal remote for setup and day-to-day use. But Harmony's hub-based remotes make even those remotes look lackluster. There are other remotes that do similar things like Neo, Ray Super Remote, and Cavo, but they don't have as large a hardware compatibility list, as well as the tight integrations into smart home tech. For an all-around, it works with pretty much everything. You can't go wrong with Logitech Harmony Companion and Elite. It not only solves the confusion around more complicated home theater setups, but adds some really nice conveniences with your smartphone and your smart home. If you like the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and comment down below what kind of universal remotes you're using and if you tied them into any smart home setups. I've included Amazon affiliate links to all of the remotes I've talked about in the description. Definitely not required, but using one of those links if you're thinking about buying one of these remotes helps to support the channel and doesn't cost you anything extra. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell to get alerts when I post new videos. And as always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.